I found I did find it quite difficult because all of a sudden, we were just cut off. You know, it was just like someone had shut the door. Um, and my first thought was maybe a bit of a selfish one. Um, was if I'm not singing twice a week, at least twice a week, sometimes three, four, five times a week, I've got to keep singing somehow, and that's not going to be a lot of fun. So I'm stuck at home. What can I do? I've got to do something. Otherwise, if I don't sing, my voice, because of my age, is not going to be, it's going to deteriorate if I don't sing. So I religiously shut myself away and sang every day, or I tried to. It was difficult sometimes to sort of get up and do it, but it was. I just felt I had to do that, and that was just something to keep me going. And obviously, I mean, I'm not a pianist, so I did find it quite tricky. I just sang. I just picked up some exercises, sang through them, did a warm up, and then found a couple of folk songs and sang them. But I had to sing something. I must admit, I'm not singing quite so much as I was now, but I'm still trying to keep this going, and it's very difficult without regular singing, because I can't sing in my church choir, and I can't sing with my hospice choir. I Zoom with them, and I sing, and they sing along with me, but obviously they're muted. I can't hear them, but it's the least I can do for them, because they love to come together, and they just love the social aspect of being together in a group. But it's very, very difficult. If you've sung all your life and all of a sudden someone shut the door, it's hard.
Yeah, it's really hard. Professionally, so I run choirs and I work in a music service. So I've had to run choirs for children online. I don't know if Martha and Jaka, I guess you've been doing online teaching as well. And it's we make the best out of it, but it's nothing like real life. But actually seeing my kids online on Zoom, I knew that they couldn't be together in the same room, and trying to explain to them, they're year 7 and below, so explaining to them that you had to do everything on mute. They had to sit, and I could tell that they were singing and trying to encourage them, going, I know you're singing really well, and only being able to hear them one at a time was really, really hard. But they missed singing so much. They were so excited to be in the Zoom. I was only going to do it for 5 weeks. And when I said, okay, well, this is the last one. No, Miss Morris, we want to do it again. It's not the end of term yet. We can't stop, because they missed choir so much as well. So I felt like I was doing the best I could in the situation. In terms of not being able to go to LPC, it's devastating for me, not personally, to be able to sing with other people. Not just the routine, not just the social aspect, but everything that you get from being in a room with people singing, that unless you know and unless you've experienced it, you can't understand what it is that all of these people are complaining to the government about that they're missing, because those people have obviously never been in a choir and experienced what we experience. That is just so much a part of our lives. So I hope that somebody there can explain to them what it is that they're stopping.
Absolutely. And I think, that one of the main things, John, you were saying, it was like the suddenness of it all was really quite profound for me, like someone just shutting the door and saying, no, that's gone. And I realized what a massive part of my life it really is. And I work in schools, and in part of the sort of COVID recovery curriculum in schools, there's been lots of talk around PSHE and that kind of thing. And one of the lessons was about hope. And I was delivering this to a class of very small children, year 1 children, and it's the story of Noah's Ark, and the animals are on the ark, and basically some of the questions at the end for the children were, if you needed to give the animals some advice, they were going to be on the ark for an indefinite amount of time, and the things that they love were indefinitely not going to come back, what would you say to them? And I found myself, when I was delivering this, getting really quite upset about, like, internally, because I realized that lots of things are coming back and starting to come back, but this thing that is the massive thing in my life that I love so much is indefinitely not coming back, and that actually I was emotionally not dealing with it very well. And the children said things like, oh, I tell them to sit tight, and I tell them to remember that the storm will end, and that they will get to do the things that they love doing. And I was sort of like, okay. And so that kind of proved to me, I was suddenly thinking about, wow, this really is a big hole in my life, a little bit like grief, really. At home, I played my cello quite a lot. I'm really lucky. I live with somebody that plays as well, so we've been playing lots of music together. And I know quite a lot of other musicians, freelance musicians, singers, that have been making lots of music during lockdown at home. If you're lucky enough to, like, have lots of your stuff at home, or like have a friend that you live with that can play with you too. And I've been thinking about that quite a lot, actually, and we were thinking about it on my master's course. And I really do think, like, if its ability to emotionally support people through a pandemic doesn't influence or prove the axiology, the value of the arts and music, then what else does? Like, what was everybody doing when they were at home? They were watching theatre on the TV, they were reading books, they were playing music. And professionally, I made quite a few of those sort of like singing mashups, again, like with really young children. And one of the comments, sort of feedback from one of them that I got that really struck me, again, was for a child that was very little, maybe reception or year one, but their parent had emailed me and they said, thank you so much for the videos. We've been watching them multiple times a day just to see the people that we love and miss so much. And it's not even, and that's where, like, singing, especially community singing and choral singing, like, transcends any kind of like musical, particular musical stuff. It's all about, it's the community that is a hole that you really can't fill. And that really made me think about socially what I'm missing about being in LPC as well.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That was so lovely. And there are tricky things to talk about. Oh, John, do you want to say something?
Can I just give you a quote from Michael Morpurgo, who is a man of many profound words. And I was listening to a radio program, this was a couple of years ago, and he used to sing when he was a student. I think it was Canterbury he was. And the quote is, "Lose yourself in amongst the voices of others. All ego disappears. You're simply the music, and it's the most wonderful therapy." And that has stuck with me, and I think that's just sums it up for me, what it's all about. So anyway, I thought I'd just throw that in.
Thank you so much, John. It is a weird time, and we feel a lot, and we don't have that much space to let it out. And then when communing with people on Zoom, I found that that's just a completely new language that we all have to teach ourselves and then teach others. And then that frustration, especially with music making, with not being able to feel everything that you feel when you're in a room with other people, either singing or playing instruments, for me, it was quite an adjustment. You said some very beautiful words. So in my mind, I'm just going to try to switch to kind of like a landscape where we can see both sides of the scale and just talk a bit about them. When I was saying about the latency and all these problems on Zoom, on the other hand, I found that on all these programs that I was running, there were people that could join for the very first time. There were people that, for instance, were disabled, they were in wheelchairs, they could never come to a specific location to do a music course, right? Maybe some professional training. There were people from different countries. And for the first time I was in a Zoom session and I was singing with people from, the UK and then the Netherlands, Italy, Spain, Portugal, all at the same time. So when thinking about what this has taught us, especially for, community music and arts in general, is that in my mind, we should definitely keep online as well as offline and really kind of cherish both, because they give us such different opportunities to connect, to be able to be as inclusive as possible.
Actually, it's something that we've found a lot is, even though, like you say, there are a lot of negatives about Zoom, we have found in our teaching that there have been a lot of positives. So one particular positive is because we have been Zooming into children's homes to give them their instrumental lessons, we've actually been able to make relationships with their parents. And so now their parents understand what they're learning and they're able to support their children in their learning. And they've all made brilliant progress as a result. So where we've struggled before to communicate with parents because all of our teaching is in schools, so we don't actually physically see them, we now have a way to communicate with parents, and it's really impacting the children's learning. And like you say, you can put groups of people together that ordinarily can't get together physically. So there have been lots of positives, and now we're looking at how we can use this technology going forward and to offer a kind of a blended learning experience as part of our music service offer. So yes, there are some good things to take away from this, but nothing is going to replace being able to sing in a room with other people for me. No way. And I think the biggest thing that my team of teachers have been finding is the uncertainty for September and the government advice about whether or not it's safe for children to sing. And it's just really not clear. And so as a result, a lot of schools are actually banning singing when we go back to school in September. And for me, that's completely heartbreaking, because what I believe we need the most is for children to be coming back together, getting, back to normal, and to be using singing the way that they would to, impact their mental health in a positive way. They need nothing more than to sing together. Singing assemblies are essentially banned, but we need to be able to allow children to sing in their classroom. Otherwise, what they're missing is really, really real.
Yeah, and as far as I know, the issue is that we're kind of prioritizing science, and everything else, and then the arts are in the last place. So obviously, because it's a bit uncertain, and because we're not willing to actually fund the research to make sure that we know how can we, do singing safely, how can we do other arts activities safely. And it's really worth thinking that self-expression side, everyone needs that all the time, but especially now that we're going through so much change. And I just wish that we all kind of realize that together and make sure that we can start doing as many things like that as possible in all, in all settings. Did anything else come up for Martha or John, just about the positives of this online environment? Something that you've learned, something that you've experienced, just in relation to, music education or singing in general?
I think it's kind of helped me sort of forcibly be in touch with my own teaching a little bit more, just because of the nature of delivery and the fact that you're doing it on camera, you can see everything you're doing. And I think in that way it's been quite interesting. You can sort of, it's been, I've had sort of been questioning things I've been doing, had to be really creative in terms of like delivery, like what content you can deliver, and also like sort of trust the children quite a lot more. And I work with very little children, so I have to be like, well, actually, no, what they're doing with my stimulus and input is going to be really, really valid, whether I can see it or not. And yeah, so that's been quite interesting. And I do think being able to reach further afield has been really nice. I've been doing sort of live stream storytelling classes on a YouTube stream, and it's been really nice to see that they've been being watched sort of all over the place in various bits of the country and actually the world pretty randomly. So that's been quite nice too.
Yeah, I mean the only Zooming I'm doing, Zoom, is with my hospice choir. They're not, by the way, they're not patients. They are staff and friends, and we sing to raise obviously money for the hospice and to it's the social aspect of this group is vitally important, and I think I started doing videos for them, just to keep them together, to so that they knew I was still around. And so I did a little 15-20 minute video once a week for them, which again it's quite difficult, when you see yourself on screen and you're prancing around. I even took them out into the garden and did a little rhythm thing out of the garden, but well, I mean, it was all good fun, and I think they appreciate it. But for them, I don't think it's so much the singing, although obviously they enjoy that, but the Zoom is the social, knowing that people are still there, I think, is the important thing. Knowing that the group is still there, even though for 3 months we haven't come together physically. And I think that psychologically for them is, they thanked me for keeping them together, which was quite nice. But that is important for them. I mean, and they're all, of an age. They're not young people, but they just enjoy singing. They do the best they can. They don't read music, but we have a lot of fun. And I think with the Zoom, it has just been a tool to keep them active with me, basically.